Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of Lads Discuss Death Battle. Bringing in is one of our boys, your only mate.
You know, I was about to make a boy joke. But you beat me to it.
That's because you are the boy, I am the Kratos. Actually, do you know what? I don't think I can say that. Mate's the one with mostly the beard. I feel as though he's more fitting to be the Kratos and I'm the boy. But joined of us with bringing us his wrath is Z-Dog.
Hey everybody, it's Z-Dog from the BlueSky. Filling in for Sean because he's a loser.
No, Sean's just a little sick, and he made a comment before we started recording that he sounds like Z-Dog when he's sick, so I was like, I see an opportunity.
And I heard it.
But, yes, Lads Discuss Death Battle is back, because Death Battle is back after, honestly, even though it's only been a month, or maybe it's been longer, but I'm probably just in denial. It's been a while, and there's been...
This one was 6 weeks.
Right, okay, so it's definitely been more than a month. We did a live stream, so we don't have any comments to bring up for this video. It's a new year, though, so leave your comments down below. But undoubtedly, people have been really excited about this particular episode, Kratos versus Asura. And yes, I'm probably still saying his name wrong. I don't care.
I think I pronounced it different ways in my own reaction. No one commented on it, so meh.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a lot of hype for this episode, and guess what? We finally got the episode, and it was spectacular. As to put many of the images that Devil Artemis created, it was cinema. Though I'm debating which cinema image to use.
All of them.
Do you know what? That's our profile pictures now. Do you know what? Screw it. You know what? I'm changing it. I'll be the one with the Asura without the arms. Mate will be the Kratos, and Sean's the Asura with arms.
Works for me.
That's our profile pictures for this episode now. And you know what? Screw it. Let's put Steve the Elephant in the top right corner. But big shocker. This episode came with some controversy. Wow, who could have seen that coming?
To the surprise of nobody.
Yeah. Now then, I think before talking about the actual episode, there is actually some interesting things to talk about this episode. One, despite that this is the episode that actually lost the popularity poll during Death Battle's last season, well, I guess their last season, this episode was pitted against Tom and Wile E. Coyote, and, well, big shock. I was actually still surprised that this episode was the one that got out there. I mean, granted, I think because of Death Battle's track record of really epic cartoony-like fights, that's probably what helped Tom versus Wile E. win the poll. But then guess what, people? It didn't matter because Kratos versus Asura came out way before it.
Yeah. To be fair, I think because, like, comparatively, this is a quote-unquote easier fight to research, just on the basis that Tom and Wile E. have, like, so much more history than these two, and there's, like, so many different cartoons and whatnot. Like, this was probably easier, like, production-wise to do.
Yeah, which I agree with. I mean, Devil Artemis, this is the episode that he's wanted to do. Not only was this one of his most requested episodes, he was like, I want to one day animate this episode. And many people are calling this his Dante versus Bayonetta.
Because he animated, like, 9 minutes worth of footage that had to get trimmed down. Yeah.
It was really good. Now, and do you know what? If his last episode, Omni-Man vs. Bardock, was the epic reintroduction to Death Battle from last year, this is definitely a great premiere of, like, the new season. Which Death Battle just going by, like, years. It's not like, oh, Death Battle season 10, 11 now. It's like the year that the episodes come out, which I think is fair.
Yeah. And that's how I'm doing my Hall of Fames nowadays.
Yeah. And you know what? Once again, Devil Artemis just absolutely smashed it. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the analysis, because this is where the start of some of the controversy begins. Now, I think this is either Sean, Mate, or me when we were discussing Death Battles, that characters that need to return. Was this episode better justice to Kratos than the previous one? Yes.
I
Like,
was about to say, is that even a debate?
yeah, like,
I was
look,
gonna say, that was my suggestion. I was the Kratos guy.
yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I think that episode still holds up pretty solid for a season 1 episode. But objectively,
As-
it's hard to really say they really went in depth about Kratos' powers, really. It's just mostly talking about how violent he was, which, to be fair, that is kind of early Kratos lore, to be fair.
Yeah.
But if you...
I mean, some parts of Kratos' old analysis I still love. Is well, as immature as this is going to sound, like the whole thing about him slaughtering every god on Olympus, except for Aphrodite, for obvious reasons.
do you know,
And
I'm actually very
Edit
curious.
they do.
Do you know what's actually funny? I think canonically, she is actually the last of the Greek gods alive in Greece.
Yeah, I think like lore-wise, it's because like she had nothing to do with like anything that happened to him.
Yeah.
So it was literally just like, I got no beef with you.
Yeah. Also, when it comes to fan service like characters, Aphrodite is definitely the right one to do for because she'll do anything. Seriously, do not Google the things that she's made love to, people. Like, just don't. I made that mistake.
And the other thing is like the end clip in his analysis. Back then, the whole "I was trying to make you a great warrior, you succeeded" stabs Ares through the neck.
Yeah, I mean, that is still one of the best endings to a game like God of War, man. All the build-up and stuff like that. Already a pretty epic boss fight as well. So I was like, you know what? This game was great. And it's crazy to think how many of his boss fights will get crazier and crazier as time went on. And the thing I also kind of liked about this analysis, because one of my fears was, oh no, I have not finished Ragnarok yet, it's going to spoil things. But surprisingly, I didn't. And maybe I've missed some things, but it didn't seem like it spoiled anything major to me. It's probably something on the sidebars I missed. By the way, I still like the fact they referenced the Shovel Knight fight.
I think I saw Amber comment on that. It was just like, wait, what? Like that's a thing?
Actually, here's actually another fun fact. This is more so to do with Ragnarok. When I was doing some side questing off camera, when I was doing a Let's Play of it, Mimir actually asked Kratos, like, hold on a minute, you've actually battled in tournaments before against other warriors with different worlds? Kratos would be like, I have fought many warriors. I was like, yeah, but I'm talking about knights, a princess, deadly ninjas? And Kratos just goes, we should probably not speak more of this. One, that's a very clever reference to, Kratos has been in more games. But I'm just like, they're kind of referencing both Mortal Kombat, Shovel Knight, and that one princess from that PlayStation Smash game. I was like...
Oh, her.
Yeah, I was playing that, I was thinking, I really wish I was recording that, because that is actually hilarious.
Yeah. There's also, they added in his analysis, this, like, Sackboy doesn't want to talk about it.
Okay, I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the Sackboy game, or maybe Astrobot game. So I know Kratos makes cameos in those.
I was gonna say PlayStation All Stars.
And yet his rival in that game was Sweet Tooth.
I won't lie, the only best thing that came out of that game was Isaac Clarke freaking catching Zeus's lightning bolt. That is peak to me. But getting back to this episode, now here's the controversy that was the first thing I was seeing in not only comments, but people leading up to this episode, and that is the lore. Because, yeah, Kratos kind of fought a lot of these Greek gods, and because God of War follows the actual mythos of Greek mythology, not any of that Disney bull crap, the gods have done some crazy things. So,
well, you say that, I don't think they brought up, like... Well, because they said he defeated Hercules, and they didn't go into how he, like, held up Infinity.
Yeah, but I mean,
anything.
did they need to? Considering all the other stuff they brought up?
No.
Yeah. And now this already sparked kind of a conversation as well in our live stream when we were talking about this episode coming, because... yeah, there was that little bit of, issues with that, because it's like, well, Kratos doesn't actually show these feats, and just because he killed these characters, what's the context to these? It's like, well, with Helios, he pulled off his head when he got beamed with the sunlight in his face. Mendes, he chopped off his legs after catching up to him, who was even faster than Helios, fun fact. And he defeated Zeus, who can literally rewrite all of reality because he is the king of the gods. That's not me saying that, that's what the mythos are about. Like, Zeus, when it comes to mythos and mythology, Zeus is one of the most powerful gods in existence. Listen, if I was to put my money on my Jesus and Zeus, my money's on Zeus. Like, Jesus, you know what, you're a cool bloke, you know, you made all those fish and wines for people, but I'm sorry, but Zeus got hands. Controversial comment aside, I'm pretty sure I just angered 2 Christians that were subscribed to my channel.
No, you think that's Christian controversy? I'm pretty sure on Death Battle Cast a couple times, Liam has made comments about, like, who could beat the Christian god.
Yeah, let's not open those cans of worms.
God damn it, Liam.
I think, like, Liam is just that chaotic neutral. Like, he doesn't care if it will
He absolutely is.
Like, he doesn't care whether it will bring massive dislikes to the video. If he will say it, he will say it. And you know, we'll go into more, at least for me anyway, I'll go into more detail why I think it's fair to kind of scale Kratos to these, but we'll say that because right now let's talk about Asura. And yeah, I feel like I really underestimated Asura, because you know what, he is definitely more powerful than I realized. I mean, I know he was powerful.
Oh yeah.
I played the games when I was a kid, but you gotta think, that was during my 360 days. I've not played it ever since. And yeah, I also tend to forget how much of a good dad he was. And also, I don't know who's more durable, his wife or Asura, because I'm just saying, you know, I feel as though to have a child.
He gets angry in bed.
Sorry, say it again, Sean.
Are you implying he gets angry in bed?
No, I'm just saying when you're in bed, you exert a lot of energy. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, jokes aside, the other thing I was actually quite surprised by, because I never got that vibe when I played these games, I never realized Asura had complete control over his anger. I just always assumed, you know, the angrier he got, the more, you know, out of touch he got with his humanity, wherever the hell he is. Like, I just thought he just went more crazier and crazier over time, but it turns out he didn't. He actually is in more control of his power than I realized. It's just, hey, you know, when you have control of so much power, be afraid of the person behind it.
And whatever you do, do not make his daughter cry.
He is a very protective father. But yeah, I was also quite surprised that, I mean, this is always one of the major complaints that Asura's Wrath had when it first came out. I was actually just quite surprised just how many quick time events are in this game. This probably has more quick time events than freaking Resident Evil 4. And Jesus, that game is known for its stupid quick time events.
Thanks, Capcom.
Capcom just love their quick time events.
And yet, they never put this guy in Marvel vs. Capcom.
I still love that comment they put on the side. I'll put him in Marvel vs. Capcom.
And even the bit after, like, the end analysis, just like, hey, Capcom, if you ever do Asura's Wrath 2, we'll try this again.
If the Death Battle Curse could strike, and you know what? Capcom have recently announced they're doing another Kame game, so it's like, you know what? If Capcom are usually down for reviving games that haven't seen like the spotlight for a while, so I don't know if maybe this Death Battle was trending. I do know that.
Yeah. Or maybe this will get them to, like, at least port the games onto, like, modern consoles.
Yeah, because I was reading, when people were saying that in the chat that it's not been ported, I was like, I swear I saw it for sale on my Xbox Series X. Then I tried to look it up on the store, and nope, I couldn't find it. They have the Jade Empire from the original Xbox game on there, which underrated game as well. You people should check it out, the Jade Empire. But yeah, I was actually quite surprised. I was like, I mean, this game is still talked about now. I mean, hell, the modding community for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 added Asura himself in the game. Hey, if Capcom are going to do it, at least the fans are going to. So it's like, he's clearly got a dedicated fan base. But, I mean, one, the creator has also made comments that, you know, there's not really much you can really do with the series, I guess. Which is like, okay, fair enough, but
No,
maybe...
with that attitude.
Yeah, well, maybe just not focus on Asura. I mean, for God's sake, the mythology he's based on, he wasn't the only deity in that world.
No, yeah.
You know, it's like Greek mythology. Like, you are aware, people, that Hercules isn't the only badass mofo in that story. But, yeah, but the main thing about the analysis portion, one, I do like the fact, you know, I didn't even comment this about Kratos as well. The editing was hilarious. Like, the jokes were good. Like, Death Battle have really gotten good with a lot of their humor, and I'm glad that's still continuing now. Like, I don't want to make it sound as though, like, oh, Rooster Teeth were restricting their funnies. It's like, no, Rooster Teeth are all about comedy as well. Maybe it's just because they don't have that much constraint now to get an episode out like they did before. Like, maybe they have more time to flesh out the jokes and edits, because I still can't get over the freaking Thor Ragnarok edit they did. Like,
I mean, to be fair, this is the second longest episode in series history.
yeah, I know. I just found that funny. Like, you can't beat me. I know, but he can. It's like, I don't know. That tickled me. I never even found that meme funny, but just seeing Kratos' head over Thor's body just made it funnier to me.
And yet he's talking to Thor over Hela's body.
Yeah. But I also kind of like how they balanced the humor with the more serious modes, because I think a criticism I kind of had with, like, I can't remember which Death Fighter it was last year, but there was a moment where they, you know, told the impactful story of this character and they ended it off with a cheap joke. I was glad they didn't do that with this one. Like, you know, they actually showed the impact that these two characters have had, because they're not just ragey boys. They're actually a lot more, you know, there's more to these characters. They're not just edgy people. Like, there's, you know, there's a story behind the edge.
They're still human at the end of the day.
Well, human metaphorically.
Yeah.
Also, I will admit, though, I did find it funny they did reference the fact, one, that Asura fought Akuma and Ryu again to a standstill, but also they did the freaking cartoony scream from the punch to the nuts.
And there goes his balls.
Owie.
Sad fact about that, people, that was a DLC you had to pay for, and it only lasted 20 minutes.
Yeah. But, I mean, if we ever did, like, composite Ryu, we can scale him to Asura.
Oh, God, don't. Mate, stop opening so many cans of worms. There's so many wounds in here. I'm going to be a bait channel. Screw you both. That was funny.
Yeah. Hey, you might be a bait channel, but you will be the master of it.
Oh, God. Right, now because
I wish I could laugh at your jokes, but I can't.
Right, because you made that joke, mate, now I'm changing your profile picture to a worm.
Worth it.
Well, great.
Alright.
Throws a banana bomb.
Oh, banana. Alright. Oh, God, I can't believe I just referenced that old joke. Look, what have you done to me, mate?
The answer is everything.
You're making me bring up dead memes. What have you done to me? You know there's that whole TikTok brain rot? I'm getting a You're Only Mate brain rot. The You're Only Rot or something like that. Oh.
You're only right.
You're only rot. You don't need TikTok rot when I'm your only rot. But anyway, so to wrap up my final points about this, analysis-wise was pretty good. It was funny, informative, and yes, there's some controversy to do with the feats and stuff like that, but we'll get to that most likely after the fight. Do you guys have any final points before we get to the fight?
Not really.
Let's be real, you both just
I think
want to
for
talk
me,
about
as long
the
as
fight.
people... I was just gonna say, because like, for me, as long as people take away like this story of Asura's and they kind of enjoy it, I'll be happy at the end of the day that the analysis was amazing.
Yeah, it was a very strong analysis and a good start to a new year of Death Battle. I mean, I would say it was a good start to the year, but I feel sorry for the Americans right now. They could do with a Kratos right now.
Yippee!
Kratos for president.
Do you know what? I would vote for Kratos over the other guy. I'm not even going to say his name because I'm worried it will cause controversy. I mean, can you
His
imagine?
vice president isn't called Kratos, it's called Boy.
No, his vice president would be like, you see this axe? That's all you need to know. Just plants it in the ground. I mean, to be fair, Kratos is one of the few people that fights on the front lines of his soldiers. I mean, who wouldn't want that as a president?
There's a war going on. He's just like cracks knuckles. All right, I'll sort this out.
I just want to see an edit of him just appearing in Putin's office, just kicks down the doors and just stares him down, and Putin's just there on like the nuke button, shaking his fingers. I mean, you would if you saw Kratos.
You do not want to press that button.
I mean, if anything, Kratos would throw his axe into the nuke and like pull it down.
That's true. Although, speaking of like entering a room, though, we have kind of commented on this before, but this shot of Asura entering Kratos' shack, and they're both like posing, like, I love that shot. When I saw that teaser, I was like, "You've sold me." Like, that was enough.
Yeah, that's a cool shot.
Like, put that on a desktop wallpaper. Like, that is perfect. And a nice little detail I love they did when introducing both these characters. I like the fact when it introduced Kratos, it did the God of War 3 title when it introduced the gods. But then when it showed Asura, it showed like the fonts that it used for all the bosses in Asura's Wrath. It's a nice little detail. I just respect that. I always like it when Death Battle do that. Now, there is actually some... Okay, I'm not sure this is a controversy, but there was actually some interesting like changes from the fight and the storyboard for this fight.
Okay, can you please like clarify that, because it was brought up in the server and no one gave context.
Okay, well,
someone just said this was my favorite change from the boards.
Hang on. I can actually pull up the storyboards on the social media account.
Yeah, okay, well,
Right.
to be quick about it, you know, we do need to speed through it. So, one of the things, Asura's daughter was not actually seen in the majority of the storyboards. And there was a very interesting change, which I will admit, I do kind of wish they kept it, because one, it's a very neat reference, but also, it's just so cool. So, the scene when... I'll tell you what, let's just go over the majority of the fight, and I'll bring that up in a bit. But, yeah, first of all, I loved this animation. I believe it was made in Blender, because I'm pretty sure Devil Arms has moved on from Source Filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if you were to compare this, because wasn't he the one that did... what was his first Death Battle? Wasn't that Ganon versus Dracula?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you kind of look at that, which is still a very strong fight in its own right. I don't want to make it sound like I'm disrespecting that, but man, you could just tell that Devil Artemis is getting like, I think his years of animating for Team 4 Star's Dragon Ball series as well as his Cell series, you can see he's getting into his fighting element. Because, and one, this is an episode he was really passionate about, to the point he kind of took over. Like, he didn't go too in depth with the script. He kind of did things his own, like adding bits that weren't in the script. Which is like, you know what? You give a man who's really passionate about this episode and he's willing to add more without extra pay. It's like, let him cook. And you know what? He cooked. Like, just, I don't even know where to begin with this. Like, first of all, so many great references to both their games, like both in their quotes, how they fought, and even just some like small little details. Like, one, this was actually something that was in the storyboard but never made it into the episode. So, when Kratos blew off Asura's arms, and originally Asura wasn't meant to see his daughter crying, he was just meant to just jumped up on some rubble and just made it to the top. He was going to use his teeth to pick up one of the spears, and he was meant to briefly fight Kratos with the spear in his mouth, which is a reference to one of the boss fights in Asura's game, where he lost his arms but he kept fighting.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, on one hand, I think they should have kept that in, because it's like, one, that's a neat reference, and two, just how badass is that? Like, you lose all your hundreds of arms from the spear, so you pick up the spear that blew off your arms just to continue fighting on. Like, how metal is that?
Yeah, it's just insane to look at like everything in this fight. Like, so many details just shows how passionate Devil was, just like overall with everything.
Yeah, and I also kind of liked a bit of the original Kratos was mixed into this fight, because yeah, at the start of the fight you have the more mature, calm Kratos saying you don't want this fight. I've always loved the fact, ever since the God of War reboot, quote unquote, sequel reboot, this new Kratos, every time people have done like fan animations or stuff like that, they've always had to include that. Like, it's like some unofficial rule now where Kratos has to be the one to say, you know, he doesn't want this fight, which, to be fair, is in character. He's not someone who seeks out combat now. But as soon as the fight was carrying on and the more angrier Kratos was getting, he started to let out his more original side, we'll say. Even like, I love they worked in the line like, death has not earned me yet. I love that line so much. I was so glad they snuck it into the fight. When I heard that line, I was like, yeah, Kratos, that's my boy.
Yeah. Also, can I just say, like, goddamn Chris Guerrero? Like, the dude just, like, goes for it with, like, the sheer anger, and there was one line in the teaser for this fight, I'm sad didn't make it into the actual episode. It's, when he's screaming, "Death to all gods!" Like, the rage in his voice, like, Jesus Christ, are your lungs okay, my dude?
Man, was he actually trying to...
Probably not.
God, was he actually trying to do what the original actor for Azura's Wrath did, nearly crashing his vocal cords? I'm not even kidding. The actual actor for Azura in the game, he actually had to go to hospital because he nearly killed his vocal cords. That tends
I
to
remember
happen.
hearing about that.
That tends to happen when you play as a character who's all about shouting.
That was Liam O'Brien, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Fun fact. I guess this is the second Liam O'Brien character that Chris Guerrero has voiced in Death Battle.
Huh. Wow.
The first one was Gara.
It's kind of why I wanted Chris to voice Asura when I heard this episode was actually happening.
I'm surprised none of us is making that two pennies joke, because I feel as though that's ripe for the taking. But I feel as though, like, we've
Oh
moved
gosh,
on.
it's not pennies, Bill. That's not how the joke goes.
You know what I meant. I'm sorry, I'm British, Sean. But I tell you what, getting back to the fight, then we'll say our final piece on it. The final bit of the fight, I loved the reversal they did for the final clash.
Okay, I haven't played either game, but I love that moment.
Freaking Asura going into his final form, and he does the whole, I'm gonna crush this planet, and Kratos does the stance that you would have to prepare for the quick time event, and then he holds up his arms in preparation, like, I'm sorry, man, like, yes, that's just epic. And then he says the line, like, death hasn't earned me yet, like.
Also, even before that, just the smirk.
Yeah, it's like Kratos
Like, I was gonna say,
he smirks like he's being all, bring it, bitch.
I know, I love
I
it.
was gonna say, like, that's the biggest change with the storyboard. I think that's what they were talking about. Like, the ending's completely different.
That was actually changed up, and that might go into another controversy that I saw with some complaints, even from some reactions. But yeah, they did completely change up the death, which, yes, I guess now we can kind of reveal it. Yeah, Kratos destroyed it I know this death isn't too gory, man, but for God's sake, literally in this case, Kratos is jumping from asteroid to asteroid, preparing his Blade of Olympus, and freaking stabs Asura in the head. Like, it's not gruesome, but it's like, you know what, that's the most animated we've seen Kratos move in any God of War game.
Yeah, that's just cool.
Yeah, like, look, whether you agree or disagree with like, I don't think that's how Kratos would fight. Just shut up and enjoy the cool moment.
Yeah, and plus, like, the ending of in the official episode just hits harder with, especially that final two lines from Kratos and Asura.
Yeah, which came
You
with the.
are a monster no longer. I never was.
Yeah. One, Kratos got a win after his first official loss, and I don't want to say this is a criticism, but I can really understand why some people weren't exactly happy with that last bit of the fight, where we see Kratos walking away and Asura's daughter's holding the remains of her father. Here's my things I will say for it. One, it is very in character for Kratos to feel bad after that because he realizes what he did was wrong. And two, this is still a death battle, and in the context of why these two are fighting, it would make sense that Asura is fighting to defend his daughter. And
Yeah, and also meanwhile, Kratos was just like defending himself. He just gets transported, then these three dudes like, I guess, pick a fight with him.
yeah, they're just
Off
random.
screen?
Yeah, they're just random minions that you fight in the game.
Yeah, and then Asura is just like, "Oh, the God of War, you're here? Well, not for long." And Kratos is just like, "Look, dude, you don't want this."
Yeah. Now, here's my defense for it. One, it's a much more better emotional scene than something like from Jotaro versus Tanjiro, where I get they were going for an emotional moment, but it just came off as...
Jotaro.
But it just came with the eyes like tearing up so cartoon-like. It did kind of ruin the moment. Whereas this one, you just had a simple moment where Kratos looked.
Oh, do you mean Jonathan Tanjiro?
Yeah, Jonathan
Yes,
Tanjiro. Yep, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yep, sorry. I mixed up the JoJos. There's so many JoJos. You just don't understand the JoJos if you know the JoJos from the world of the JoJos. But anyway, back to this. Like, I can see why people were a bit upset and weren't particularly fond of seeing Asura's daughter holding his corpse. But I will say, emotionally wise, I think it's done better than like certain death battles I've tried to end on an emotional note. That one just came to mind because I just remember just laughing hysterically at that after watching it, and people were just like, "Bill, that was so cold of you." It's like, I'm sorry, but how it's animated, it didn't give that emotional moment like it was meant to. Whereas this one, it's a nice simple animation. You have Asura's daughter holding him as he's dead. Kratos walks away, which this is a one criticism I do have for the animation. Kratos walking away does look very janky.
It does.
Like, Devil Artemis, like 99% of this fight was amazing. It's fluid, it's great, it's impactful and powerful. Just this walking animation was just very source filmmakery, I will say.
Give the man a break. He ended at like 9 minutes of content total.
Yeah.
Also, maybe
Well,
Kratos'
right?
legs were just stiff. I mean, what did he have to like, brace for?
I mean, that's fair enough. We'll go with that.
He's just walking away, being like, "My legs."
Aphrodite's
I
like,
should
oh.
never have skipped like day.
Just Aphrodite just hears that. Oh, was that a request, Kratos? F*** off. Was that also a request? God damn it! Literally. But you know what? Regardless of that controversy, then comes the reason for why Kratos won, which, honestly, I do kind of think this goes into what we brought up when we were discussing this episode last year in the live stream. Well, technically this year, it was meant to happen last year. But yeah, we all agreed, like, speed-wise, they're probably dead even. Versatility, yeah, no doubt Kratos just had much wider weaponry. Like, there was just no... I didn't even consider the runes and stuff like that. I mean, heck, in the first reboot of God of War, you can actually get the Infinity Gauntlet. It's actually not the Infinity Gauntlet, it's the Norse mythology version, not the Marvel one. It's the one where, you know, it makes you powerful to control reality, but it can't make you just do whatever you want. But it's just, you know, to collect it, it's kind of a reference to, you know, you gotta get time, space, and all that.
Right.
And it's a neat reference, I liked it. Both a reference to Marvel and to, you know, the mythos. Now, the controversy people had, though, was power-wise, you know, the scale of, like, the worlds they fight. Because unlike God of War, Kratos doesn't really show these monstrous feats that Asura shows, where he's fighting bosses and destroying planets and entire solar systems. My counter to that is, though, because of how people in the Versus community do scaling, which if you saw the live stream, people, you know, I'm not particularly fond of scaling because it can leave some contradictions like this. But I feel as though if we could scale Asura to other characters that he'd never fought before, but it was only fair to scale them to him because, well, we're doing the same for Kratos, you do kind of see the power-wise, it's not that too different. It's just that Asura goes more anime-esque when it comes to how they show these fights, whereas God of War is, I like to say, it more so follows like the mythos stories, how they're written, because you don't see a lot of these happening, you hear them through stories, which unfortunately that's how a lot of classic mythos were. Even stuff like, you know, Sun Wukong, like the whole like he held up a mountain that contained the universe. That's actually never shown in the story. That's just said that's just a random scene that's just said outright. Which is kind of crazy when you consider it. It's like, wait, that's barely ever talked about in the story. But I think it's only fair because we do see within the games of God of War what these powers can do. Like, you know, the tree that could connect all of different universes. It's like, it's not too, like, outlandish to scale Kratos these, because one, he's defeated characters that have either powered these things, or have the power to destroy these things. Zeus himself was having, when he saw what was happening after Kratos nearly destroyed all of, well, he did, he killed all the gods and caused a worldwide destruction, well, not just worldwide, universal scale. Zeus literally just casually goes like, right, I've got to get to work with this after I deal with Kratos. So, it's like, if someone could just casually look at the destruction of a universe and just be like, this is going to take a while. It's like, it's not too outlandish to say Kratos, who defeated Zeus, can match someone with that level of power. That's my opinion, anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah, do you guys have any issues with how they explain that?
Nah, not really.
No, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And this is just... Oh,
Especially
sorry.
when you consider, you know, like, the drop near can just take the mantra anyway.
Right, yeah. That's a thing I didn't even consider with the Blade of Olympus. I just went, oh, it kills gods. I never went into detail, oh, what exactly does this blade do to kill gods? And it had the very thing that Kratos would probably need to kill Asura. I think my final point I'll say before we move on to the next time. Death Battle, please do not make alternative endings a habit.
Thank you!
Yeah, because one of the things we've praised Death Battle for is, you know what, there is that harsh reality, if you request these episodes, you're not going to get that ending where your character wins. However, if you're going to start doing these alternate endings, like for DBX, that's not a big issue. Because one, that's done by vote, or if the animator wants their favourite character to win. And it's just meant to be that small entertainment that keeps people entertained until the actual episode comes out. But not only that, this alternative ending, thank God they didn't do it. Because
yeah, I'll be honest, like, every time I go back to it, it kind of drags a little bit.
It doesn't just drag, it's rubbish. Like, how Asura dies, Kratos is jumping on asteroids, preparing his Blade of Olympus, stabs him in the head, he explodes, and then you see the remains of Asura on the ground, and Kratos walks away. This one, Kratos gets punched in the face, and he's punched into heaven. If there is a reality...
Also, I guess Kratos is just sees that coming and is like, yeah, I can take that.
Yeah. Like, you know, him seeing his daughter again, that is actually very cute. I'm not going to deny that. But...
That was sweet.
But... There is a reality out there where this is the actual ending. They said Asura wins and this is the ending we go with. I feel sorry for that version of Lads Discuss Deathbound. I have to review that. And probably in that alternative reality, Proboscis is probably the leader of the Lads Discuss.
Jesus. It's just called Bros Discuss. That's it. That's the big thing.
Oh god. I'm not even saying that to be mean, that just sounds bad. Because Lads Discuss is literally a pun. Let's, lads. But...
Well, to be Proboscast is a play on Proboscis.
Okay,
which
fair enough.
is a play on Proboscis.
Which is a play on Unbuscus. It's not, I don't know. Makes that the funnier
Which
one.
is a play on Spartacus.
God damn it! He stole the
know.
best ones!
Which
Alright.
is a play on That's Pretty Sus.
Shut up, you've made your point. Anyway. My final point is
I
that...
didn't mind the alternate ending at the end of the day. I thought it was nice that Devil got to draw all the stuff he did for the fight.
Yeah, if it's just that little bit that Devil Artemis animated, he just wanted to show off, that's fine. But please don't make it a habit where you have to satisfy people with, oh, here's... it's not even shown in, like, full screen. It's literally, like, shortened screened it.
Yeah, it kind of feels a little pandery if it's like going to become a more regular thing. But again, maybe it's just something the Devil wanted to do.
Yeah, which I hope is the case. Overall, my final say on this episode, I thought it was fantastic. A great start to a new year for Death Battle.
Really fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.